News 10 NBC Today starts right now.
I am disappointed, extremely disappointed.
Black Lives Matter!
Breaking overnight, no charges and a march for justice. Demonstrators flooded the streets of Rochester demanding change after hearing there will be no criminal charges against officers in connection with Daniel Prude's death. Prude died last March after police pinned him to the ground during a mental health call, but the public didn't know about his death until months after the fact.
Then a grand jury got the case and had to decide whether to bring any criminal charges against 7 RPD officers. Then we heard from New York Attorney General Tish James yesterday as she came to the city to deliver that decision.
We presented the strongest case possible, but today the grand jury decided not to indict any police officer on charges related to Daniel Prude's death.
That announcement immediately brought out many protesters who marched all over the streets of Rochester. They're still calling for justice and demanding change.
They started where police pinned Prude to the ground last year and traveled through the city streets. They even made it onto 490. Lynette Adams is live at the Rochester Public Safety Building where that march came to an end last night.
And Lynette, these groups are not done yet, are they?
That's right. That's right. The protests ended here last night around 11:45 with no clashes between police and protesters. You can see the barricades are still up from last night. But protesters say they will be back. A disappointed crowd turned out to the 400 block of Jefferson Avenue where the incident happened almost a year ago. Hundreds of people marched through the city chanting Daniel Prude's name, promising no justice, no peace, and that Black Lives Matter for hours. At one point, marchers climbed over barricades, blocking the street and taking the march to the middle of Route 490 to downtown Rochester. Marchers say they are tired and frustrated with a system that often is not just to people of color. A year after Prude's death, the group Free the People Rock and Black Lives Matter continue to question why police respond to mental health crises. But despite disappointment, leaders encourage people not to give up.
But to see Joe Prude and his family watch this press conference and us not have any answers for them, except for we're going to be right where we started in these streets. So tonight, as we're marching, as people are giving speeches and we're holding space for each other and we're talking about how we feel and how hurt we are, please remember, it's discouraging, but we got to dig deep.
The marchers say every day it is above freezing. They will be back out here marching the streets for justice. And we're live at the Rochester Public Safety Building this morning. Lynette Adams, News 10 NBC Today.
All right, Lynette, after that, the Attorney General also spoke with Daniel Prude's brother, Joe. Joe Prude is Daniel's only relative here in Rochester. We did try to speak to him last night. He was not available. Daniel Prude had 5 kids, including Nathaniel McFarland. McFarland lives in Chicago, but his lawyer, Steve Schwartz, is here. He tells us McFarland represents his 4 brothers and sisters in a lawsuit over the death of their dad. So we wanted to see what the family wants to take place next.
Yeah, he wants to see some accountability. I mean, he doesn't want this event to go by without some action. It can't be swept under the rug.
The family has lawsuits, by the way, concerning Prude's case in federal court and also suits against the city and Rochester police. More about those still ahead on News 10 NBC Today.
Meanwhile, the defense team for the officers are questioning the strong remarks from the AG as she revealed the grand jury's findings.
What appears to be her bias, and still the grand jury returned no indictment. I think that speaks more loudly than what she has had to say.
The lawyers say there may be a need for police reform, but insist this is not a case that demonstrates that. We're also getting more reaction from city leaders after the decision.
Yeah, hearing from Rochester Mayor Lovely Warren through a statement, she says there are no words that can comfort a family who has lost a loved one in a tragic way like this. Actions going forward will ensure that Daniel Prude's death was not in vain.
RPD Chief Cynthia Harriet Sullivan says her heart goes out to the Prude family. She also said she's, quote, proud of the progress we're making and of RPD officers for being open to learning alternative methods and working together towards a common goal of keeping this from happening again.
Just 6:05 right now. Just to recap so far. New York State Attorney General Tish James announced yesterday when she came here, 7 RPD officers in the Daniel Prude investigation will not face any criminal charges. Protests ran late into the night just before midnight when they wrapped up. So far, no arrests have been announced. Stay with us for continuing live coverage all morning long right here on News 10 NBC Today and online where you can get updates on WHEC.com.
Now, your first alert forecast with meteorologist Rich Cornelia.
And at 6:05, we're at 28 degrees, so temperatures have dropped near and just a little bit below freezing. We got a lot of melting yesterday, so again, like we saw on Tuesday morning, just watch your step as you head out. You never know, some of that melting could be a little icy in the driveway first thing this morning. Right now, first alert Doppler 10 radar, all clear in Rochester. The only live local radar in the market, though, does show a little bit of light snow out towards Niagara County. That's part of that warm front that'll be crossing our area this morning. Not much moisture with it, and a lot of it will just stay to our north. We will see a brief increase in clouds as that front moves through, and then more noticeable will be, they call it a warm front for a reason, 33 at 8 a.m. Yeah, at noon, 47. We're going to be close to 50 this afternoon. Still in the mid-40s. Could be some showers and some strong wind gusts this afternoon. Sun up now 6:54, sunset at 5:53. We'll talk more about the strong wind gusts coming up for today in just a few minutes. Brennan?
All right, Rich, it is just about 6:07, a lot more to get to. That decision not to charge any officers after the Prude case is bringing up a lot of questions. How do we move forward now?
And this includes a plan for police training in these situations. The Attorney General proposed some reforms she wants to see put in place, but one former Rochester police chief told us those plans don't go far enough. You're going to hear from him coming up.
But first, President Biden is making some changes to the plan to help small businesses, putting extra cash in some bank accounts. We'll break it all down for you next on News 10 NBC Today.